everybody. A warm welcome to all the esteemed faculty members, distinguished guests, and the students from CHIRD colleges. Today, we aren't here just to listen and receive knowledge, but to ignite our curiosity, exchange ideas, and create a shared learning experience. As we embark on this journey, I request everyone to rise for a moment of silent prayer, seeking blessings for the success of today's event. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Skills Swap, a student-led learning exchange program organized by the Department of Professional Management Studies, Kristu Jayanti College, in collaboration with the Consortium of Higher Educational Institutions for Research and Development. This initiative celebrates the power of peer learning, with participants from Kristu Jayanti College, PSGR Krishnamal College for Women, St. Aloysius Mangaluru, and Stella Maris College, Chennai. The Skills Swap program is an extraordinary opportunity where students share their knowledge and skills, enriching each other's understanding of various subjects. Today, as we are fortunate to have three skilled facilitators who will take us through exciting topics, broadening our horizons and speaking new ideas. The functions of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. Ralph Nader. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Disha Weezy, Head, Department of Professional Management Studies. Her commitment to nurturing talent and fostering a culture of learning has made significant impact on our department. We welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome the facilitators of today's program, Ms. Niti I.T. Sunil, Mr. Alvin Lara, and Ms. K. Pritika. We welcome you all. And I extend a warm welcome to all the participants from the CHIRD institutions. Before we proceed, I would like to invite Dr. Jusha Viji to share her best wishes with our facilitators as they impart their valuable knowledge with us today.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm so happy and so privileged to be a part of Students Exchange Program. So it is a program and it's a remarkable initiative which is being initiated by our institution to share the knowledge among of our students with other institutions. So we have been partnering with a few colleges. So we have today a session where our students will be sharing their knowledge and experience about what they have learned with other institutions. So it is not only our institution is going to share their knowledge, it is also the other our partnering institutions, PSGR Krishnamal, then Aloysius University, Deemed to be University, Stella Maris College. So the resource people will be our students. Usually we have resource persons from experienced people, but here the resource people will be our students and they will be sharing their knowledge and their expertise in their field. So it is not only an exchange of students' knowledge, it is also an exchange of cultural behavior, and they also will come to know a different perspective, how it can be viewed in a different perspective. So on this behalf, on Department of Professional Management Studies, I wish three of them are students, Ms. Niti from BBA, fifth semester, and Ms. Kritika from MBA, and Mr. Alfin from PMS. So I wish all the very best for all three participants to share their knowledge and expertise in their field. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful remarks and continued support. Our first speaker for today is Ms. Niti I.T. Sunil, the student coordinator of Virtuoso from the Department of Management. Niti will dive into the history of banking from the grain loan to central banks, offering a historic perspective on how banking has shaped economies over time. Now, to begin our skill swap session, I invite Ms. Niti to take over the stage.
A very good morning, faculty members, and everyone present here. So, the topic that I will be presenting today is the history of banking, from grain loans to central banks. So, we are aware of the banking system today, right? We have a lot of technology that helps us in our day to day transactions. But do you think this is always like this? No, right? Can you imagine going to a grocery store with a bag full of grains? Or imagine storing your wealth in a temple or a church? These are things that we cannot even imagine right now. Okay, so 10, 15 years back, we even had to go to the bank for a lot of transactions. But do we have to do that today? No, right? We can do everything online. A lot of the things can be done online, and we don't even have to use cash nowadays. UPI is there. So that is how much the banking system has advanced over the years. So, throughout this presentation, what we will be looking into is the history of banking, which is very fascinating. So we'll be starting from the 3000 BC till 20th century advancement. So now the timeline that we will be looking is from 3000 BC, that is the early banking stage. Then we have the medieval banking and Renaissance. Then we have the age of colonization and the modern banking stage. Okay. So the banking system has helped us a lot. Every loan we take, every investment we plan is a part of a vast interconnected system that not only helps our economy, but also us as individuals. So let's start with the early banking stage. That is from the 3000 BC till 500 CE. So before we start this, I would like to tell a short story because I feel like stories are the best way to explain something, right? Okay. So this story is set in the city of Uruk in Mesopotamia. So there were two individuals known as Enki and Timur. So now Enki was a young trader and Timur was a very skilled scribe. So now because one was a young trader and one was a scribe, because of that they formed a very good partnership. So one day, as they were going on a trade travel, Enki had this question that, how do merchants and farmers store their wealth and how do they store their grains? And then Timur pondered on this idea. Even he was like, okay, what do they do? How can we make this possible for them? How can we store their wealth? How can we help the farmers and the merchants of the city? That was when Inki had the idea that maybe we can use temple storerooms. and we can use the storerooms to store the wealth, and maybe we can give clay tokens or something in return so that they can exchange that further. So this was the idea that Enki had, and even Timur was like, okay, this is a great plan. So now this plan was made, and they put it into implementation also. So now this whole plan was implemented, and then farmers and merchants, traders, all of them started storing their grains in the temples, and they would get a token in return to trade further. So this was a system in Uruk, and this helped the economy grow a lot. It helped the merchants. You can imagine, right? Such a system can be such a lifesaver. So that was what happened. And okay, like every story, there is a conflict here. One day, a drought struck. So as a drought struck, many farmers, many merchants, they couldn't grow crops, and they were in a lot of distress. So then that was when Enki had this idea that maybe we can provide loans to them. So then we can provide loans, and then in return, they can give their harvest. When their harvest is plentiful, they can repay that back. So this was a system, and they had implemented this also. So now again, one crisis came, they have somehow solved that also. So again, the system became very popular among everyone, and then it was helping a lot of people. Those who are in distress also, they also came back, and the system helped the economy a lot. So now, what is the point of the story? Is you can see, like as civilizations and as societies evolve, so does the banking systems that surround them. So it is very important that, and you can see that when crises come also, something is there. They always have an innovation. They always have some plan to help and solve that problem. So now let's move into the early banking in Mesopotamia. So in 12,500 BC, this small valuable stones, materials, they were traded like obsidian. So obsidian is a valuable volcanic rock, and that was used for trade. Similarly, a lot of other materials like stones, clay tokens, all of them were used for trade. Slowly, that transitioned to commodity trade, where before the evolution of coins, cattle and food grains were uh, exchanged. So this was a system again. Now, slowly, the barter system came into place. Now, barter system is not something we're not familiar with, right? Everyone knows barter system, where one person can exchange with the other person for goods. So this was a system, and this also came into place, and this was there for a long time. Now, slowly, okay, one more thing. Is it enough to just have loans and deposits without recording them properly? No, right? Yes. So that was when the first writing forms came into place. So in Mesopotamia, the writing form is called cuneiform, and in Egypt, it's called hieroglyphics. So these writing forms played a very important role in record keeping. So we can see that the first written records of banking came into place. So firstly, it was these clay tokens called bulla that was used to keep track of the agricultural produce. Then slowly we can see that that transition to mnemonic symbols. So mnemonic symbols are actually pictorial symbols that were written on temple walls, and that was used for again keeping track of the agricultural produce. Now again, cuneiform and hieroglyphics played an important role in record keeping of the daily day-to-day transactions. Now, okay, Babylon is in Mesopotamia, and that is one place that is very well governed by rules and regulations. So, Babylon had a strict rules and regulations, and they had this code of Hammurabi. And I think many of you would have learned this in history. So, Code of Hammurabi had a lot of rules and regulations relating to agriculture, family laws, banking, infrastructure, and a lot more laws and regulations. So this helped the economy, and this helped the society as a whole, because they were regulations. Regulations keep things in track, right? Without regulations, the banking system is nothing. So we can see that regulations also came into place. So now the bank related to banking, the Code of Hammurabi had a lot of rules regarding how much interest can be charged. Now there's a very interesting fact here that when debtors were unable to pay loans, creditors would usually tell them or one of their family members to become a slave. So this is the system. There were a lot of rules and regulations, and the Code of Hammurabi was very strict. Now we'll see Roman banking. So in the Roman society, uh, churches controlled from churches and temples actually controlled a lot of the activities, banking activities. But that slowly transitioned to private bankers. So the private bankers in Rome were called Argentari. So now, slowly from temples and churches, this transitioned to private banking, and they introduced interest. So the Roman law was in the Roman law actually introduced interest, and it was called usury. Yes. So as I mentioned, the Roman law regulated interest rates, showing how even in early financial systems there were regulations to keep the economy stable. As I had mentioned, banking system is nothing without regulations, and we can see how the regulations here paved way for a lot more regulations that governs our modern banking system. Moving to medieval banking and Renaissance. So from in medieval Europe, the churches controlled much of the banking activity. So they had a lot of power because they had both the wealth and the grains of the society. So they were very powerful. And the reason that the churches stepped in at this point was because they had religious prohibitions against the charging of interest. So we can see that they were against interest, and that was when the churches started controlling a lot of more of the activities. Then slowly, in we can see that Italian banking became very prominent. Merchant trading in many of the Italian cities like Genoa, Venice, they became very popular. Then we can see the introduction of Medici Bank. So Medici Bank was one of the most powerful banks at that time, and they had a lot of they set the standards for banking practices. Also, the Medici family in Florence were very influential, and they not only financed to merchants, but they also gave funds to popes, kings, and uh, they gave this funds to even voyagers like Christopher Columbus. So now we can slowly see the growth of Italian banking. That was Italians were the ones who actually introduced the bills of exchange, double entry system, and letters of credit. So they had a very advanced banking system at that point. Now the age of exploration. So we know Christopher Columbus, a lot of voyagers, we know them very well. So imagine for a trade expedition, how much funds would be required? A lot of funds for the ships, for commodities, for long distance travels. So we need a lot of funds to fund these voyages. So that is when the banks in Livson and Seville came into place, and they funded a lot of the voyages. So this voyages made the expansion into Asia, Africa, and many other places. So European expansion across a lot of the countries in the world. Later on, we can see the rise of public banks in Barcelona. So in Barcelona in 1401, that was when the first public bank came into place. So now public banks, it was only private banks and it was only families that supported and provided funds. So now public banks came into place and they started providing funds. That helped the public and that helped the government also. Okay, so as I mentioned here, this is also very interesting that the Italian merchants introduced the bills of exchange, the letters of credit, and the double entry system. And all of these principles are still used in modern banking and accounting. We still know about the double entry system, bills of exchange, letters of credit. So this was what paved the way for such modern advancements. The age of colonization. So the colonial expansion, this is also something we're aware of. India was also once a colony, right? By any Can anyone say by whom? We were The East India Company. So the East India Company was once in India, and India was also once a colony. So the age of colonization. So again, for colonial expansions, a lot of funds were needed, right? Yes. So a lot of funds were needed for colonial expansion, and the European banks funded the colonial expansions. And yes, so the colonial expansions were funded by the uh, European banks and with companies like Dutch East India Company and British East India Company. So these companies also played a very important role in overseas trade, and they played a very important role in European expansion in different parts of the world. Then we can see the rise of central banks. Central banks played a very important role because even now, central banks govern our banking system, our financial system. So, central banks were very essential for stabilizing the economy that time. So, this is very important. And uh, yes, it was a Bank of England that was established as the first modern central bank in 1694. So, this was designed to manage national debt, regulate the currency, and stabilize the economy. So central banks, again, as I had mentioned, it became very essential for ensuring the economic stability in the respective countries. Now, slowly, we moved to the Industrial Revolution, which again required massive funds for infrastructure like roads, uh, factories, and mining. So the investment banks like Rothschild Bank came into picture, and they funded a lot of large-scale projects. So again, we have a very interesting fact here. That is, the Rothschild family was so influential that by the 19th century, they were called the bankers of the kings. Why is that? Because it was said that they had more wealth than several European empires combined. Moving on to modern banking, that is the 20th century. So, the 20th century kicks off with a focus on regulation and centralization and technological changes, all aimed at making banking more stable and accessible. So, firstly, in 20th century, we can see the Panic of 1907. Again, a conflict. So, the Panic of 1907 was one of the first international major banking crises that was caused primarily by the speculative investments in Latin American mines and the economic bubble in Europe. So, British banks overextended credits to investors, and when speculative ventures failed to give the expected returns, that was when the panic set in. So, investors began withdrawing their funds, and this caused a lot of banks to collapse, including 70 banks in England. Also, the panic exposed the fragility of the unregulated banking systems and highlighting the dangers of the speculative activities and the lack of financial oversight. Also, one more thing is that the panic settled resulted in the creation of the Federal Reserve System in 1913. So, this new central bank was tasked with stabilizing the banking system, and it provided emergency liquidity during the financial crisis. Okay, again, one crisis is over. We can see the next one, that is the Great Depression. So, Great Depression was in the 1929, that period, and this triggered widespread bank failures, especially in the US. So, this led to the Glass-Steagall Act in 1933. So, this law separated commercial banking from investment banking, and it helped consumers to be safe against these risky investments. So, this Great Depression period was very crucial because it destroyed the economy as a whole. It destroyed people's confidence in the banking system, and it worsened the economy. And there was reduced lending, because of which everyone suffered. And there was a rise of unemployment, failure of businesses, etc. So this was a very crucial period, which was very distressing to a lot of people. Now, banks played a pivotal role in financing both the World War One and the World War Two. So that was when the sale of war bonds came into place. So war bonds were provided to the citizens of the country, and they were given, the government provided them with war bonds, and the government would pay them with interest at a certain point. So this war bonds created a sense of collective responsibility among all the citizens. So even citizens were interested and uh, keen to invest in these war bonds. So now we can see the technological innovations. That was firstly the ATMs. So that was the introduction of the automatic teller machines in 1960s, and they revolutionized the way people access banking services. making cash withdrawals easy and convenient. So even now we have ATMs and we know how easy that makes withdrawals for us. So similarly, that is what paved the way for the ATMs that we have right now. So this is when the ATMs were started. Then electronic banking in the 1970s. So electronic data processing transformed banking operations, making transactions more faster and accurate. So this laid the groundwork for the banking services and the digital financial services in our economic in the coming decade. So now the Bretton Woods system of 1944. The Bretton Woods Agreement established the Indian International Monetary Fund and the World Bank after the World War II, and this stabilized the global economy. So the IMF and the World Bank, they provided help to developing countries, they provided funds to developing countries, and they also stabilized the global economy as a whole. So this created a very interconnected system, global financial system. Deregulation. So the deregulation of financial markets in London marked a turning point in the global financial market, leading to increased international investment and trade. Also, in US, the Glass-Steagall Act of 1913 allowed banks to re-enter both commercial and investment banking, leading to the rise of global mega banks and the greater financial integration. Okay, so to wind up, we'll let's see this. So as civilizations and cities advanced, so did various systems that supported them, such as the banking and financial institutions, evolving to meet the growing complexities of the society. So as I said, every society, every civilization was different, and every society had a different banking regulation. They had different banking laws. They had different way of banking, and as these societies became more complex, so did the banking system that governed them also. So, from the meticulous record keeping of ancient civilizations to the innovative financial practices of medieval Italy and the transformative institutions of Amsterdam and London, the history of banking is a testament to the humanity's enduring quest for economic stability, efficiency, and progress. Each era's advancements have built upon the last, creating a sophisticated system that underpins our global economy today. As I said, many crises were there along the way, but then the banking system, the people, the government, the banks, they evolved different innovations that helped bring the banking system to what it is today. So thank you all so much, and I hope you found this insightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Nati. Our second facilitator is Mr. Alson Lara, a final year BBA Tourism and Hospitality Management student from the Department of Professional Management Studies and the Joint Secretary of Student Council. Alson will present on Tourism Redefined. Regenerative tourism meets tech and startup innovation. Mr. Alson, the stage is yours.
Sure.
Okay, a very good morning to one all present here. So first of all, I would like to thank my department and the management and all the participants for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So today I'm going to talk about something very interesting, something of my own domain. So I am currently doing my third year in BBA Tourism and Hospitality. So this is what I'm going to talk about. It's regenerative tourism, where it meets startup and tech innovations. Okay. So first and foremost, how many of you guys are interested to be entrepreneurs or do something of your own, or have startups, right? Even I also want to, do something of my own. As much as I want to work in a corporate firm, I myself want to start something of my own, right? And this domain that I'm studying right now is tourism, where I have found my interest and I've put together some ideas that will help us as a community, as student community, to help our country and the world. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is what is regenerative tourism? The term regenerative. What does regenerative mean? It means basically to restore something back to its former glory, right? It's something that's derived from sustainability. How many of you guys have heard of sustainability throughout our whole life, right? Everyone has heard about sustainability. So this is something that's derived from sustainability, where it's taking to the next level. Okay. So if you see regenerative tourism, it's basically leaving a destination better than how it was. So suppose you go to a destination, right? And you see a clutter there or a dump. What do you guys do? We just ignore it, right? We don't care about it. So what is our responsibility as a responsible citizen is to make sure that the clutter is removed. So that is what regenerative tourism is all about, is to make sure that we are getting better in managing destinations and managing the place that we go to, right? So moving on to the next slide. Okay, next slide, we have 5 principles that are essential to conduct regenerative tourism. Okay, so first is restoring ecosystems. So restoring ecosystems basically means to restore the place to back to how it was. Like I spoke about in the first slide, right? It's basically means to go to a place, making sure that everything there is back to its former glory, and making sure all the travelers are well equipped and they're aware about what they're doing. The next thing I'm going to talk about is community empowerment. Okay. Suppose you go to a place like Manipal, right? Do you think the community in Bangalore and Manipal are going to be different? Are going to be the same? Definitely not, right? They are going to be different communities. And they function in different patterns, they function in different ways. So it's our responsibility as responsive travelers to go to those places and make sure that the community is getting involved and we are empowering those communities and giving them some sort of funds or helping them, improve their places, improve their destinations, and so on. The next thing I want to talk about is cultural preservation. So cultural preservation. So again, like how the community is different, every place has its own different cultures. We have a different culture compared to something like a state of Tamil Nadu. They have different culture, right? We don't have same cultures. They have different culture and different followings. So we need to make sure that their culture is also preserved in this format. We just can't ignore by putting a lot of tech into it. We also need to make sure that the tech is integrated with their culture. Okay, so something of that sort is the point number 3. For point number 4, something called a circular economy. Do you guys have any idea about what is circular economy? Okay, it's a new term, right? So I found this very fascinating. So circular economy basically means, suppose you're starting a business. What are the first and foremost thing that's required to start a business? Ideas, funds, and you need to have some things to put into play, right? Basically operations and the things that are required to, function of licenses and so on, right? So circular economy is a business model or an economic model where for initial stages, funds are not required, okay? It all functions through ideation process, okay? Where initial stage, there's no funds required at all. So it's all based on our ideas. Okay, so these are steps that we can do. You guys can actually do further research about it. Very fascinating. You guys can do further research about it because these are business startup models and economic models where initial investment is not required. So for people who are keen to start business, this is a very good opportunity. And the last one is mindful travel. So when we travel, we carry a lot of plastics. We clutter the area. We you know make it a mess. So it's our responsibility as citizens to be mindful when we are traveling to make sure that when we leave the place it's in good condition than how it was compared to before. Okay, next slide. So next slide I want to talk about is the difference between sustainability and regeneration. Okay, so a lot of you are confused based on what's the difference. It's a very big difference. Okay, let's go on to the difference. Okay, so here I've put on some points on given some aspects for the key differences between sustainability and regeneration. First, let's talk about the primary focus. The primary focus of sustainability is to make sure that there's reducing of negative impact. So suppose you go to a place, you just make sure that the future generations can use these resources, and that's it. That's the sustainability end. But regeneration takes it to the next level by restoring those places, by making sure the places are better than before. That is what regeneration is all about. Next is the scope. So for sustainability, we have a neutral scope where it's all maintaining the resources that we have. For regenerative, it's increasing the resources that we have or regenerating the resources. And the next is economic model. Like I said, for regeneration, it's a circular economy or where initial investments are not required. For here, we'll have to put a lot of initial investments And it's mostly, promoting efficiency and effectiveness. That is all the economic model is all about. Environmental impact, again, it's to, reduce the pollution and make sure that we consume the things at the right amount. And for regeneration, it's all about, restoring ecosystem, diversities, and so on. So I'm going to give some examples, okay? So sustainable farming. How many of you guys have idea about sustainable farming? Sustainable farming, yes. Okay. So sustainable farming basically is conducting your farming activities while making sure that the resources of the soil are maintained. Okay. So the other example for regenerative, where the difference comes into play, is basically where regenerative farming, where we are increasing the resource of the soil. Okay. Suppose, uh, tell me a key element that's important for farming. Any element. Fertilizers, okay. Suppose okay, fertilizer or manure. You can take manure, okay. Suppose the manure level of a soil is 30%, okay. So sustainability, the key of sustainability is to maintain it at 30%. Regenerative takes it to 50% or takes it to 60%. That's what regenerative is all about. You can call it as a next big sustainability, okay. So that is what regenerative is all about. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this is where the interesting topic comes into play, startups. Okay, so I have divided startups into three integrations, okay? Tourism, technology, and regeneration. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing some ideas that, we can implement uh, moving forward, where, we'll have innovative ideas to come up with startups where we can help our community as well as make money. Everyone wants to make money, right? That's what we are working for, and that's what is the main goal. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, so here I'm going to be sharing some startups in the field of tourism. Okay, this is my domain, so I'm going to give a basic gist of what the startups are in my field. So the first thing is AI-powered travel assistance. Okay, so suppose you're going to a place where you have no idea of what's happening. The AI is going to help you and take you to different places and give you assistance. It's like Siri, but a better version to travel. Okay, and next is sustainable travel platforms. This is what is currently booming in the tourism sector, where people want to go to eco-friendly tourism. They want to stay in eco-friendly stays. For example, how many of you guys have heard about homestays, Airbnbs? They are fully sustainable, right? Because they are in the middle of a forest or they're in countrysides. It's like a house where you can stay. So that's all, sustainable travel platforms all about. Augmented and virtual reality. Okay. This is an upcoming topic again. So AR and VR, right? So suppose you want to go to a place where it's an experimental tourism aspect, okay? So you're not sure if you want to go, you're kind of in a split mind, you're like, should I go, should I not go? So here you can try on the AR and VR headset and experience the place for yourself. Get first-hand experience. So you can make a decision if you want to go or not. And there are people who are disabled, right? Who are not able to travel, who can't walk. They can experience the places while sitting in their own comfort and, put on the headset and experience travel for their own purpose. And next is digital nomad and remote work travel. So basically, there's a new uh, sector coming up in the job industry where people are traveling from place to place very frequently. They travel once in a week. They travel, 2 times a week. They keep traveling from one country to another country. They make frequent travels. So it's impossible for them to, find a fixed stay, telling that, I'm only going to be staying in this resort for the rest of my life. It's not possible, right? Because they're traveling from one place to another. So this digital nomad and remote work travel is an app which is built for people who are traveling from place to place very frequently. So suppose if I'm traveling to Singapore in another 2 days, I can put in my details. I can tell where I want to stay, and this will give me a proper schedule of which hotels I can approach, where I can book my tickets, and moving forward, where I can go to my next destinations. So this, an upcoming business idea. And last is local experience discovery. This is somewhat related to sustainable travel platforms, where you can also experience these local delicacies and experiences of a place that you're going to. Okay, suppose if you want to go to North India, right? There are a lot of places that has not been discovered yet, hidden gems of India, right? You can call them hidden gems of India. Those places can be discovered through these apps. Okay, moving on to the next topic. Yes, these are some regenerative tourism startup ideas. Okay, so again, are very related to the first topic that we spoke about, but in the regenerative side of things. So first is again regenerative travel platforms. Again, this is a sustainability aspect where it focus on regeneration, where you want to give us some credits or points. So suppose if a customer is traveling to a place and they are willing to take part in regenerative activities, so you can give them some credits or points which can help them, you know, uh, benefit for them for the next travel that they're going to. And the next one is the carbon negative app travel. Again, it's a tracker where it'll help you track your carbon levels when you're traveling. Maybe it's your flight journey, maybe it's the amount of water bottles you use or the pollution that you create. Whereas a tracker where it can help you track all the carbon emissions. And smart regenerative accommodation. This is like another business model, something like Airbnb, but more towards the sustainable side. Airbnb is not fully sustainable, where this can be like another sustainable element added to it. Gamified regenerative travel tourism app. This is something I'm personally working on. So suppose if you want to go to a destination, right, and you want to explore a destination, so we're going to gamify the whole thing. So we're going to make it as points. So suppose you enter a destination and you go to a hotel of your choice, you get points. Okay. And you go to another activity, you get points. And these are quests that you have to complete. Okay, while you're traveling. So it's like an adventure in itself where you're following a roadmap of your own, which you formulate, and you get points in return for completing those tasks. So gamifying the whole experience. So you'll have a one in a lifetime of experience when you're going to different places, where different places have different game modes and so on. Okay. And the last is AI-driven destination reservation consultancy. So this again focuses more on the destination management sort of things, where it's a consultancy service where you will be looking at the world as a whole and will be coming up with just places that can be converted into regenerative tourism hotspots. That's the business ideas of regenerative tourism. Next slide. The relevance. So I want to talk about why this is relevant in today's world. Okay. So sustainability is a concept that was there from the 90s. From the 90s, we're working on sustainability and so on. It was there from a long time, but from 90s, it actually came into act. But if you see, sustainability isn't doing that much. It's just making sure that the resources that we have right now are maintained. Where regenerative tourism makes sure that the resources that we have are increased. That's why regenerative tourism is more important. Regenerative aspect as a whole is very relevant and it's very beneficial for us as a community, to work on. So here I have mentioned some few points. You can just see through it. I've brushed up everything. Right? Okay, so I'm going to talk about the implementation aspect of it. How can all of these things be implemented? Okay, suppose you're doing a business model or you are implementing it for a social purpose, for CSR benefits and so on. You can implement it in the following ways. First is partnering up with local communities. Okay, they are the key to help you improve the condition of a place. And next is promoting eco-restoration activities. So a lot of activities that can be done to to promote to promote the sustainability levels of destinations, which partnering up with local people and improving the biodiversity of that place and so on and so forth. And net carbon travel options. Again, traveling to places where carbon emissions are less. So can be another thing can done. And sustainable infrastructure development. Again, making sure that the whole infrastructure that you have for a travel platform or for a travel purpose is fully sustainable and does not have any carbon emissions or it's a net negative carbon app. So education awareness for everything, for us to do everything, we need to be educated and aware about what we are doing. So it's our responsibility to educate people and let them know that there's a program like this which can be followed, right? So certification standards, government should place some sort of certifications and standards which will give recognition to those places or hotels or resorts where we can travel to, and if they earn this certifications, like an award for them, right? So which gives recognition to people. And last is tech integration, where I spoke about a lot of startup ideas which we can follow and we can work on. Right? Next slide. Okay. So I want to conclude by saying the following. Okay. So regenerative tourism, again, you guys know the meaning. So why I chose this topic is because this is the next big thing. So if you see sustainability, okay, the growth of sustainability, the compound annual growth is 14% per year for the period of 2024 2031. Okay, we're only growing 14%. And that's a very less margin, right? And if you see as the market, the industry value, it's only about 7.14 billion. That's very less when compared to, other things that we can work on. So 14% growth is very less when it comes to sustainability and regeneration. And I feel like if we as students contribute more towards this aspect, we can increase it to maybe 20% or 30% in the upcoming years. And these are some of the ideas which can help us as well as a community as a whole to, to increase the sustainability level as well as to increase the regeneration levels of a particular destination. So that's what I want to conclude with. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that you want to ask? No? You guys find this topic interesting? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
We have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Alfred, it's a good presentation.
Thank you, sir.
The sustainable tourism and regenerative tourism. I just halfway only I joined in this presentation. So my question is very simple. Your student community. So in the main problem when we are implementing from the faculty side, I'm talking. Students, you are in the halfway in your career. So majority of your education is in schooling period. So schooling period, how you going to incorporate? Because this is like a very sensible only for the audience who is sitting in the graduate level. So this is a culture we have to, it's a kind of habit we have to develop in the student life. So how you can incorporate into in the early stage of the student, the first point. Then if you have any idea how you're going to execute it, because um, sustainability the the contradicting point is sustainability itself is a failure, like a 14% only. Then how it's going to make a impact in the society regenerate? It's the biggest contradicting point from your presentation. Along with this, can you answer this first question also?
Okay, so you're talking about how can this be implemented in the early stages, right?
Yes.
So, so suppose NEP policy or CP policy can integrate regenerative or sustainability as a subject, where students from a very young age can learn about sustainability. So when they're growing, like from grade 1 or grade 2, they can also implement it on their day-to-day life. So when we teach them young, right, it's a habit that's going to be cultivated from when they're young. So as they grow, they will be responsible citizens to take part in these activities and so on. So about sustainability being a failure, yes, I would agree for that fact. It is a failure. It could have been better, but regenerative tourism is introduced because sustainability became a failure. Okay. So suppose how it can be implemented. So regular CSR activities that we do, right? We need to take more precautions and more education awareness to make sure those activities are done effectively. So again, like I said, it's a circular economy basis where it doesn't require any funding. So we can also do it ourselves if we come up with a proper execution plan and so on. So that would be my answer to the question. Sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin. And last but not the least, we have K. Pritika, a second-year MBA student who has been part of various national level B-plan competitions and won over 6 titles. Pritika will be discussing on pitching for a B plan, an essential skill for anyone aspiring to enter the business world. I call upon Ms. K. Pritika. Sure.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for the introduction. And I feel the crowd is little, powered on. Let's make the session more interactive. We'll talk each other. So, firstly, when my previous speaker asked how many of you want to be an entrepreneur, I just see very few. One, and I saw one there. And can I know why? What is, other people plan? Anyone? What's your plan? Sorry? Didn't decide. Okay. So yeah, I'll put that question again. How many of you really want to be an entrepreneur? Okay. You guys have any business plan right now? Working on nothing. Okay. So I wish like after this session, you guys will be having more clarity on how to take up a business plan and how to move forward with your plan. So to move this session forward, I'm just splitting into two different parts where I'll be telling what are the contents you should make sure while you are making a business plan. And the other session, other part will be about I did a business plan and I'll just project my business plan and we'll have a comment or not on that. Okay. Moving forward. Yeah. So basically, when you're thinking about a business plan, for example, okay, basically, when you're thinking about a business plan, you should identify the problem first. What is the need of a customer? What is a problem that the market is facing? So only after finding the problem, you could make a solution for it. You could bring up with a new business plan. So for example, I have a business plan for blind people of where I bring up a product called Smart Spectacles, which have AI into it, where the blind person can actually substitute the stick and they can have this glass. So that we'll see it forward. So first, when you're discussing about a business plan, you should make sure your introduction of the product should be very crisp, clear. And that should contain the problem and what kind of solution you're going to bring up forward. And the next part is vision and mission. And we all know vision is going to be a future plan, and mission is a statement where you're going to pursue the mission. So basically, every company will be having a mission and vision. So it's very important when you're planning your product or a service, you should have a mission and vision. And you have to know the feature of your product, the market research. For example, there is a huge difference between a market research and an industrial research. Market research is your target audience, whom you're targeting on and whom and all is going to buy your product. So technically, if I'm targeting a blind people, I should know the whole health sector. So my market research should be based on the health sector. And 4Ps, anyone knows what is 4Ps? Yeah, exactly. So this product, price, place, and promotion is going to give you entire marketing strategy, product strategy, and where you're going to where you're going to market it and where you're going to position your product. And SWOT analysis, anyone know the full form? Great, great. Yeah. So this is going to tell about the internal and external strength of an organization, where you're going to analyze your weakness of a product, analyze the risks that you're going to take, analyze the challenge that you're going to face. And related schemes, you have to know what are the related government schemes that is, that is actually available. For example, for my product, there is a scheme called AI Applied Research Center in Telangana, which is like a workspace that is located in Telangana, where you can actually go there, do your application. It's for completely free, and that is going to reduce a major cost. So it's very important to know related schemes and also recent budgeting, where it comes to healthcare sector, there is around 90 crores of fund is allocated just for healthcare sector. So updating your skills, updating yourself in recent budgeting is very important. Costing, coming to the costing part, we all are startup, right? When we are starting a business, it's going to be like a base. It's going to be a startup. So you can't give a fixed, this is the cost sheet, this is the P&L, this is the balance sheet. We can't give like that. So it's always, you just always make sure you're giving an estimated cost sheet where it's going to be an approximate value. And also the ROI and the break-even point, everything is going to be an estimated costing. Next slide. Yeah, these are the other points but which you can look it forward. The one thing is website. It's not, ideally required to have a proper website. You can also build a prototype of your website. Can I just have that website? It's just a prototype which I made for my business plan. So yeah, I guess it takes time. Okay. So how many people know what is Shark Tank? Have you people watched Shark Tank program? So what's this basically? I need someone to tell from at the last, please. What will happen in that show? Anyone? Okay. So basically, where the entrepreneurs from different part of world, they'll be coming pitching to the panel of investor, and they need to perceive the investor basically to invest in their idea, right? So basically, when you're pitching for a B plan, it should be like that. Instead, you going and doing drama, script, all this will work sometime, but it's always ideal to be very formal when you're presenting it. So yeah, this is the prototype of my website. Just scroll to. So where I'll be showing how my product is going to work. Scroll down. Just scroll. So I guess for this and all, you don't need any third party agency. You can do it on your own, through your friends and all. You can do it. PPT. So the next point is prototype. If you're having an ideal prototype of your B plan or the product or the service which you're going to do, it's good. If not, you can have definitely you can have a pilot run. You can analyze the market. Then it's ideal to start up a business. And advertisement, obviously the promotion part is very important. So instead, me talking here for 30 minutes and I am displaying my product for just 30 seconds, which you guys will prefer. 30 seconds, right? So it's obviously very ideal for you people to make a small reel of your business plan so that the people will be more interested to see those short videos instead of listening to, big lectures, what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Then other industrial analysis like go to marketing, SDP, these are depends on the product or service which you're going to see. I mean, which you're going to make. And it's very important to give source. If you are taking any research from Google or wherever, it's ideal to give the source from where you took. And the other part of session where I'm going to show my B plan. And yeah, before that, before one speaker was telling about all his business plans, you guys had any idea? The one which he told gamified registration, right? Yeah. Any idea about it? Like you guys understood what is it, how to proceed? Like,
So basically, what is idea was so when we are traveling to a place, so we'll have that app, and in that app, multiple tasks will be given to us, and if we complete that, we will get credits, or maybe we can later then. He didn't specify what to do with those credits, so maybe we can get discounts or anything like that with those credits after we complete those tasks, and it will be an adventure and it will be fun.
so if you are an entrepreneur, how you will be taking up this business? If I'm an entrepreneur, I won't tell that idea firstly in a stage. So how you will be taking it forward?
How I will be taking this idea forward. I think first of all, when our sir addressed, no, sir addressed like how to integrate this in like at the beginning of student life and all that. I think in high school we have those summer camps and picnics and all that. We can make it like to get this like idea integrated in the system and all that. So we can have it like the one who collects the most trash and all will get to be the sports captain or anything like that, or get rewarded like the same way the app is talking about. And from a business point of view, I think we can keep it like if you do these tasks, for example, I completed 5 tasks and 50 credits are there for five tasks, 50 for each. So if I complete that is 250 credits. So if I get 250 credits, maybe I can go and redeem one more extra day of stay and or something like that, and maybe some exclusive, like sauna, massages, everything, anything like that. Thank you.
So whatever you're talking, it's about that expansion stage, right? How a business is going to work at the end. So there is a lot of components that you need to put in forward before you are going to see, in a big version. So first thing first is you need to do a market research. How many people are going to interested to, use that app, and what are going to be the pros, cons, and what are the schemes? How you're going to start up your business. So that is a very good one. I really appreciate it. But you need to have a start clear, clear components that you need to put in forward before starting a business. So yeah, this is the B plan which I came forward. So it's basically a smart glass for a blind people or impaired person. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned in contents of B plan, if you are going to pitch for an investor, you guys can make sure these are the contents or a template that you can make and keep it for yourself, or whatever business plan you're going to, and put it forward in the same template. So basically, this is going to be my product where a blind person can use these spectacles instead of a stick. For example, if a person is carrying a stick and walking, this specs, if he's wearing, this specs is going to entirely comment on him. Example, I'm going to use a nano camera. If he's going to walk, this nano camera helps to navigate how he is going to walk. Also, there will be a nano speaker where it's actually going to assist him through the local regional language, whatever he wants. And it's going to assist, reading assistant. The features will be, can I have the next slide? Next slide. Next. So yeah, basically these are the features that this smart spectacles is going to do. Navigation, reading assistance, obstacle detection. 20 meters if if any obstacle is there, he'll be getting to know through this nano speaker. Also regional languages, SOS emergency feature is nothing but he'll be having a button where in case of any emergency, he'll be clicking that button and other person will be knowing it. And proximity sensor. Previous slide. So basically, this is my company's vision and mission. Next, next, next. So this is the market analysis which I did. And this is 15 million people. So these are the basic, and my target audience are 16 above 16. Yeah, next. And 4 Ps. Next. Sorry, previous slide, please. When you're giving the pricing, it should be an approximate estimation because we are going to give everything in an estimated cost sheet, right? Yeah, next. And this is the SWOT analysis. The biggest threat which I found is the technology risk where I'm totally depending on AI. So if something happens in technology, everything will mess up. Yeah, next. And this is the, sorry, this is the government schemes. So I have mentioned about this AI Applied Research Center in Telangana, which is actually reducing a major cost in our product. So costing, as I mentioned, it's very important to do an estimated cost sheet. Next. Estimated balance sheet. Next. And this is the break-even point where we came up with 2 years. And it's also important if you're making in product, tell about the components, tell how the product is going to work, tell how a customer is going to get, profit out of it, or, how you're going to fulfill their needs. So these are the components that you need to mention in your PPT. So that's it about business plan. And I also want to cover up one more topic, that is luxury brand management. I don't know how many people are known about this product. It's very, I feel it's very important if you're starting a business to know about this concept, luxury brand management. You are done with your product, you are done with your service or whatever. So later, how you're going to put it forward in the market. I'm just raising a question. You people know the difference of how a Mercedes marketing will done and how a Maruti Suzuki marketing will done. If you're calling a Maruti Suzuki brand and asking them, I need I need this model car, and how they'll be inquiring with you, they'll be just telling, yeah, these are the models, these are the pricing, everything. They'll be giving you a quotation, and they'll be continuously having that follow-up call, right? They'll be calling you every week, ma'am, can I come appointment? Can I fix test drive? All this, there will be a continuous follow-up will be there. Later, when you call for a, Mercedes car, they'll be just explaining about the product and this is what our service is. They won't be having any follow-up call because they strongly believe in their product. They really value in their product. So if the customer really if the customer is really interested, the customer will come for them, right? Example, you can take Titan watch and Rolex watch. So we can, Rolex, I guess only this posh kind of people will be wearing it. To get the call with them, it will take around 1 year. So that's what luxury brand management is. There is separate course for it. If you people really interested, just go to it. It's like a, very big ocean. You can learn a lot about how to market your product, how to sustain, and how to position your product in the market. So yeah, if you guys have any question, anyone? Yeah.
So my question is very simple that how will you compete with your competitors as you know that Lenskart is in the market and generally don't know about that they have discovered this type of lenses or not, but you have discovered, so how will you compete with that company? And also they have a very large setup, but they are still not able to do it if they are not generating it. So what makes you different from them?
So that was a good question. So the thing is, before we had a competitor that is Visionite, where they made a same product, but they have a big attachment. So basically, when you're wearing a specs, you can feel that heaviness. So that is the only competitor we have in the market. Coming to the point of lens cut, see, since we starting it as a blue ocean strategy, right? Obviously, competitors will be coming. The only strategy that we can incur that time will be our pricing. And Lenskart already having a very well known brand, everything. But the only thing we can do is our pricing. And we have an option of customization, which I don't prefer. Like Lenskart can do it because they are already a very big established company. They can't sit to each individual clients, and they won't be having time to talk with each clients. So that we can do. We have an option of customization where we'll be sitting with one each client, and we'll handpick the client. It's not like whoever is coming can buy our product. We handpick the clients. Whoever we feel they can really value our product, we'll be selling to them. That's what luxury brand management is. You got your answer? Yeah. Okay. Nano camera? Because you can't fix a normal phone camera into your specs, right? The camera, the purpose of camera you're asking? To navigate. Basically, if you're seeing an obstacle, through where you'll sense it. That can be possible. To be very accurate, we can use this nano camera. And again, costing comes and plays a very big role, right? So we feel like more than that is a new concept I learned from you. But nano camera, I guess it's going to be a very less cost compared to whatever you are saying, right? So yeah. Last in that, we are not giving anything in here. Only specs will be there, and speaker will be attached to that the specs. No, blast and all won't happen. We'll take care of it. We'll be having, upgradation will be there. So we'll be having service for every 3 months. So yeah, we are not in our target audience. Thank you. Any other questions?
If the online participants have any questions, you can kindly put it in the chat box and we'll answer the question. Online participants, kindly drop your questions in the chat box. Online participants who have any questions, kindly unmute and ask. Since we haven't received any questions, we'll wind up the session. Thank you, Ms. Pritika. Thank you all for being a part of today's Skills Swap event. As we wrap up, I would like to take a moment to express our gratitude. A huge thank you to the Department of Professional Management Studies and Consortium of Higher Education Institutions for Research and Development, and our partner institutions for making this event a reality. I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Disha Viji, Head, Department of Professional Management Studies, for her unwavering support and guidance. Your leadership continues to inspire us all. Thank you, ma'am. A heartfelt thank you to our esteemed facilitators, Ms. Niti, Ms. Pritika, and Mr. Alfin, for sharing their valuable insights and knowledge with us today. Your contributions on interesting facts, timelines of banking, and yes, stories are the indeed best way to explain, communicate the stories. Principles of regenerative tourism, startup integration, content in a business plan, and luxury brand management have enriched our learning experience. A big thank you to the organizing team and the volunteers who work tirelessly behind the scenes to make this event a great success. Thank you for your efforts. It has really made difference. Last but not the least, thank you to all the participants. Remember, knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. We hope to see you all in the future events. Thank you. I remain.